You're just in time for your most comprehensive news updates at this time. Welcome to NTV at 1. I am Julians, Amboko. The church has condemned political utterances made by politicians over the last week that they say is creating unnecessary tension in the country. The evangelical leadership says that they have noted a rift within the government, which they seek to be mended immediately by President Uhuru Kenyatta before the situation becomes serious. The church leadership also spoke on corruption and the current stalemate within the Senate over revenue allocation.
We have further witnessed some of the leaders from either sides inciting the public while protecting their own agitations instead of settling their political differences in the acceptable manner. This kind of behavior can easily erode the gains that have been made so far and are serious social, political, and spiritual ramifications in the country. We call upon all our leaders to restrain themselves and exercise a high level of sobriety while articulating issues, having in mind the consequences that follow careless and reckless utterances. These unfortunate developments are raising political tensions in the country at a time when the country is hurting from the COVID-19 pandemic that has devastated the country's economy and shattered many families.
And staying with that subject, Kapseret Member of Parliament Oscar Sudi has this afternoon made a public appearance in Eldoret town where he accused the government of having double standards in matters hate speech. Sudi is under pressure after a video of him speaking strongly against the president went viral online. We now join Lois Ongoi live from Eldoret with that brief. Lois, what's the latest from Eldoret regarding this issue?
Indeed, Julians, as you note, this very afternoon we did have Kapseret Member of Parliament Oscar Sudi making that public appearance, and his supporters had largely waited for that particular appearance since he had talked about it on his social media platforms. Oscar Sudi used the platform to reiterate that he will not be apologizing to the statements that he made against the First Family, and which were largely condemned by a section of Kenyans across the country. Oscar Sudi noted that there are grievances that politicians who are in Jubilee Party and who are allied to the Deputy President have against the Jubilee Party, where he accused some of the members, such as Mr. Morathi, a Jubilee politician, of using his political stand within the Jubilee Party to sort of have hateful remarks against the Deputy President. Oscar Sudi also took on the government on the KEMSA scandal, where he expressed his disappointment with the slow movement of things when it comes to that particular probe. Oscar Sudi also reiterating that those that were largely those that will be largely found to be in that KEMSA scandal are allied to the Jubilee Party and the allies of President Uhuru Kenyatta. Oscar Sudi, this afternoon, his appearance was largely very, very short, and members of the public who had turned up were sort of disappointed because they expected a longer conversation with him. We understand also the police had kept vigil in this particular spot in Eldoret town, but they did not interfere or even get close to where Oscar Sudi was. He made his statements, and within, let's say, 5 to 7 minutes period, he was done and he left Eldoret town. Let's just listen in to what he had to say this particular afternoon.
Nataka niambie polisi wetu, kwa sababu mmetupatia heshima, sisi pia tutawapatia heshima. Hatuwezi pita kiwango ile haifai, sisi wengine ni viongozi. Lakini maneno ya kutumia tear gas na nguvu, jameni, tuache. Tunaelewana? Waache kutumia tear gas na nguvu. Sisi wote ni Wakenya. Huyu hawezi ongea hivi, ula anaweza ongea hivi. Ula hawezi sema hivi, lakini huyu mwenye hapa anaweza sema hivi. Hapana, hatuwezi kubali.
Oscar Sudi would later use that particular platform to reassure all the communities here in Eldoret and indeed Uasin Gishu and its environs that peace is something that they will not be interfering with, even as they continue to push for their political ambitions ahead of 2022. Back to you, Julians.
Many thanks, Lois Ongoi, live from Eldoret, giving us an update of the developments regarding the appearance of Oscar Sudi, that is the Member of Parliament for Kapseret, on matters regarding the exchange they've had on the political leadership of the Jubilee Party. Moving on to matters public finance, the National Treasury this morning launched the financial year 2021-22 budget-making process ahead of the June 2021 budget statement. The National Treasury has revised downward its projection of revenue to be mobilized between July 2020 and June 2021 by 111 billion shillings, citing the anticipated prolonged effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. The draft budget review and outlook paper published on Thursday by the National Treasury now places the projected total revenue at 1.78 trillion shillings, while maintaining total expenditure at 2.79 trillion shillings as tabled in the June 13th budget, indicating the likelihood of higher borrowing by the government. The National Treasury has also launched the medium-term expenditure framework covering the period to the financial year 2023-24. And of course, we'll be looking at that issue in detail in our subsequent bulletins. Elsewhere, a 24-year-old man is in police custody after he was arrested with 3 pieces of elephant tusks in Trans Nzoia County. The suspect was arrested near Kitale Showground after the Kenya Wildlife Services officers, assisted by police officers, laid a trap posing as buyers.
Trans Nzoia County Police Commander Ayub Ali said the suspect claimed that he got the tusks from his grandfather in 2008. The suspect, who appeared in court Friday morning, was detained at the Kitale police station since his arrest.
Zile pembe ambazo tulipata ni pembe mbili zilizo na uzito wa uzani wa kilo 14. Ziko na dhamana ya milioni 1.4 million.
The tusks have been handed over to KWS personnel. Last month, a police officer and 2 other men were arrested in Endebess in possession of 1.5 kilograms of elephant tusks.
Hii ni imepatikana tu kwa wakati wa doria ambazo zilikuwa zimeshikwa na polisi katika Kitale na intelligence ambayo ilikuwa inafuatwa muuzaji akija kuuza hizi pembe. Kulingana na yeye, anasema kwamba amezipata katika wilaya jirani ya West Pokot, lakini hapa ndipo ambapo alipokuwa amepata soko.
The Kenya Wildlife Service reports that in 2018, elephant poaching reduced by 50% in Kenya. Only 40 cases of poaching were reported in 2018 compared to 80 cases in 2017. In 2019 alone, more than 6 incidents were reported of suspects arrested with elephant tusks. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
And back to matters politics, residents of West Pokot are now threatening to ditch KANU as they accuse the party's top leadership of meddling in the county's affairs. Speaking as a number of protests were held in the county's 4 constituencies, the residents, led by 4 nominated MCAs who were expelled, accused the party chairman Gideon Moi, Secretary General Nick Salat, and the Senator Samuel Pogisho of interfering in Governor John Lonyangapuo's work.
For the 3rd time in a month, most of the major towns in West Pokot County have witnessed protests against the most dominant political party in the county, and that is KANU. They accuse its leadership of micromanaging the county assembly and arm-twisting the governor. Residents from the 4 constituencies, disregarding the COVID-19 protocols, marched in the streets to protest against the expulsion of 4 female MCAs, considered to be close allies of the governor.
Check mic 1 2.
The party accused the MCAs of failing to toe the line.
Governor kutoka KANU na wako na MCAs 14 kutoka KANU. Lakini si KANU wenyewe akitumia Nick Salat. Nataka niambie Gideon Moi kuwa sijui kwa nini umependa kuua KANU wakati baba ameaga dunia.
According to the residents and the expelled MCAs, Senator Gideon Moi, the Secretary General Nick Salat, and their Senator Samuel Pogisho have been at loggerheads with the county leadership. They are now threatening to rethink their relationship with the Independence Party, KANU.
Hatutaki kujua mambo ya KANU saa hii kwa sababu kumbe sisi tulikaa nyumba mwenye yenye kila chafu anaingia. Kwa sababu mtu mwenye alitoka kwa chama chake kama Pogisho alikuja juzi kutoka URP
There are also repeated calls to have the MCAs reinstated immediately, failure to which the protests will continue.
MCA Rengei, Cheprim, Chombir, alafu Chaglin Ripo, ambaye walichaguliwa na wakaji wa West Pokot, wamewafanyia nini?
Further, there are plans to initiate a process to recall the senator who was recently elevated to the Senate Majority Leader status, arguing that despite him being a member of KANU and the county's senator, he has done little to reconcile the warring parties, and neither has he found time to visit the county.
Naona kuna wale matabeli wanawadanganya Nick Salat na Gideon Moi. Mtabeli wa kwanza ni seneta wetu Poisho. Seneta Poisho amewadanganya na amepata kuwa leader of majority kwa kudanganya watu. Ndio akapata hiyo leader of majority.
The county assembly has been the battlefield for the politicians as they try to flex muscles with Governor Lenyangapuo. Kennedy Mureithi, NTV.
Many thanks, Kennedy Mureithi, for that very detailed report regarding West Pokot and the situation on the ground. Clearly some very spirited sentiments there. Let's cross over now. NTV on the road is always giving you exciting content now. Last weekend we were in Tharaka Nithi. This weekend we shall be in Kiambu County, and my colleague Dan Mwangi is on standby. Dan, if you can hear me, how far are you on the road, and what should we expect?
Well, Julians, we are currently off the road, so to speak, but we are in Juja. At least this team, we've got different teams in different parts of the county of Kiambu, where we will be, spending for the rest of the weekend, bring you the stories that really matter. And it's lunchtime, but what's cooking here is not really food. It's actually maybe not for us. It's a very interesting story that we're going to bring to you, and you can see here we have some insects. I'll touch them. I'm told they're harmless, and I believe they're harmless. If I'm still alive, so I'll just hand over to Zainab Ismail, who's going to be giving us a better picture of what to expect today. Zainab, a lot of bugs going on.
Indeed. Well done. We are in Kiambu County, and you expect a lot from this particular county. So today here we are in Ekodudu Waste Management Limited. It's a company that deals with, listen to this, it's a black
soldier fly.
A black soldier fly. And she'll be telling us a little bit more of exactly what this project is about. Maybe just a quick overview of what we have here and what this particular project is about.
Okay. At Ekodudu, we produce larvae for animal feeds. That's like a sustainable source of protein. And here you find that we are feeding it on waste. This could be any type of waste, avocado peelings, mango, pineapple. So they break down the waste into a substance known as frass that can be used as fertilizer for your crops.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And apart from fertilizer, you also told us that this can be used to not only feed, poultry, but even fish as well.
Yes, you can use it to feed fish, pigs, and also dogs in the pet category.
Wow. Maybe can you just show us an example of the feed that is your end product at this point?
Okay. At this point, this is some larvae we just collected. You can see it's well fed. So at this point, we'll take it and go dry it, and that's what we give to our customers.
But they're still alive?
Yeah, this one's alive, but from here we'll go dry it. Yeah, we'll just dip it in some little hot water to make them immobile, and then we'll dry them to have our final product. Yeah.
And you don't feel anything when you touch them like that?
No, I'm used to it by now.
How long has this been in operation?
Since 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
So this is about 4 years now.
Yeah.
All right. And your name?
Rahima.
And you're the
research personnel here.
All right.
Yeah.
That's Rahima, the research personnel, and that is just part of the stories that we are filing for you later on here in Kiambu County. We'll be bringing you more. Julians?
Many thanks, Zainab Ismail and Dan Mwangi, who will be leading our team on NTV on the road, this time focusing on Kiambu County, so stay tuned. We'll be bringing you so much content from that county. Elsewhere, more than 15 villages from Bunyala South and Bunyala West in Budalangi, Busia County have been hit by floods, forcing residents to relocate to safer grounds. Houses and livestock have been carried away, destroying property worth millions of shillings. The residents claim the government has not honored its pledges, even after the area experienced heavy floods between early April and May this year. The homeless residents say they have received a circular from the Ministry of Education to vacate all the learning institutions that have served as their homes in the past few months. They are calling on the government to honor the promise of building permanent dikes to control water overflow. And going back to matters public finance, the government has released 12 billion shillings to the National Government Constituency Development Fund, which is to go towards the construction of schools in preparation for their reopening. Speaking in Nakuru during the commencement of an inspection tour across the counties, NGCDF Parliamentary Committee Chairperson Wafula Omunyinyi said its committee would appeal for a review of the allocation to constituencies to ensure their growth and development. The committee said that it was working to find a solution on some of the learning institutions that have been destroyed by floods during the rainy season.
We are hoping that the Ministry of Education, working with our constituency development fund committees in Baringo, are going to come together to develop strategies to ensure that the problem of schools submerged is addressed. Obviously, they will need to be relocated and placed in some temporary structures which will have to be set up. I think various teams, multi-sectoral, will be working together to ensure that is addressed, and we will also visit the place to see for ourselves.
And a milk processing plant has been opened in Nyandarua, creating a new opportunity for value addition in the dairy sector within the county. Built over the last 3 years, Ziara Dairy Limited in the Wanjohi area of Kipipiri constituency targets 6,000 farmers drawn from areas surrounding Olkalau town. Nyandarua County is periodically afflicted by glut of milk, which results in significant losses borne by farmers. Last week, the county launched a 30 million shillings vaccination targeting livestock in the area, targeting an estimated reach of 300,000 livestock.
Sasa tumeanza kuchukua maziwa kidogo kidogo ndio tuenze the production of the whole product portfolio. Tutakuwa na whole basket of dairy products.
Wana target 6,000 farmers ambao watafaidika katika viwanda hapa. Kuna 20 cooperatives ambao pia watasaidika hapa. Kuna 800 collection centers mahali ambapo maziwa zitatolewa.
And that report from Nyandarua takes us to a short break. NTV at 1 will be right back with a lot more stories. Don't go too far.
Guys, unajua ukikula supa moja utakuwa na superpowers?
Let me try. Jiamini.
Wow. Indomie, now available in chicken, beef, and Supermojo. Jiamini.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more. Like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Coca-Cola. Taste the simple joys.
Oh my, oh my, oh my days. Life is wonderful. Life is wonderful. Life is wonderful. Life is wonderful. Never understood. Life can be this good.
Welcome back to NTV at 1. After years of poor road networks, residents of Othaya constituency and Othaya municipality have welcomed an upgrade which is set to ease transport challenges in the area. The road upgrade is set to cover 23 kilometers within the constituency at a cost of 1 billion shillings. According to the area member of parliament, Gichuki Mugambi, who launched the expansion project, the road will provide better access to Othaya Level 6 Hospital and other key areas. The MP further said that the road that stretches over Othaya town to Juakali through approved areas will now be fully tarmacked.
They are going to use these roads to take their produce to the market, and therefore is going to boost the whole economy of Othaya. We believe in another 5 years, our economy will diversify by about 25% into service sector, other than being predominantly the way it is in agriculture, because it relies heavily on agriculture.
A land tussle is brewing between two prominent families as one accuses the other of trying to rob them of their birthright. In contention is a 15-acre piece of land in Banana, Kiambu County. The tussle involves the two prominent families that have enjoyed a cordial relationship since independence, and the latest move allegedly by one of the families to lay claim to the land, which has a gravesite, could end in a court battle. A signpost indicating that the land was not for sale has done little to salvage the situation, as the aggrieved family accuses the other of using powerful connections. A house built by one of the sons of the aggrieved family is also at stake, as the owners now fear it may be sold to and leave them. And in news further afield, rising Nile flood waters are threatening to swamp an ancient archaeological site in Sudan after some of the highest ever recorded river levels. According to the French archaeological unit in Sudan Aquasite Services, teams have set up sandbag walls and are pumping water to prevent damage at the ruins of Al-Bajraiwa, once a royal city of the 2-millennium-old meteoric empire. The area includes the famous Meroe Pyramids, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The site, some 200 kilometers northeast of Khartoum, was a capital of an empire that controlled vast swaths of land from 350 BC to 350 AD. Farmers along the fertile banks of the Nile, the world's longest river, depend on its annual floods, but water levels have risen much further than usually is the case in the year. Sudanese authorities last week declared a 3-month national state of emergency after record-breaking floods that have killed at least 99 people. Officials said they have recorded the highest water levels on the Blue Nile, which joins the White Nile in the Sudanese capital, Khartoum, since records began over a century ago. And on to matters COVID-19, the World Health Organization has expressed concern over the lack of solidarity in the COVID-19 fight, owing to a need for more funding to increase the efforts to save more lives. This comes as the global death toll from the pandemic topped 900,000.
Phase 3 of clinical trials for the COVID-19 vaccine has begun in Moscow, Russia, where 40,000 volunteers aged 18 and over will be participating. Despite this, the World Health Organization has expressed concerns over a lack of solidarity on an international level and has asked for more funding for the ACT Accelerator, which is a global collaboration to hunt for COVID-19 vaccines and treatments.
I think what worries me the most is what I have been saying all along, a lack of solidarity. Because when solidarity lacks, and when we're divided, that's a very good opportunity for the virus. And that's why it's still spreading. But the ACT Accelerator will not be able to deliver on its goals without a significant increase in funding. The $2.7 billion it has received to date has been generous and has enabled the robust startup phase. But this is less than 10% of the overall needs. The ACT Accelerator still faces a funding gap of $35 billion.
This comes as the United States reported over 34,000 coronavirus cases yesterday, raising its national tally to 6.42 million cases. India is trailing behind the US with 4.56 million cases, while Brazil now has 4.24 million cases and Russia has 1.05 million cases. As the fatalities climbed, US President Donald Trump admitted he had tried to minimize the seriousness of the COVID-19 threat at the start of the pandemic. Meanwhile, WHO has warned that the race to save lives should not be between companies, but rather between countries.
Bilateral vaccine deals and vaccine nationalism could compromise equitable access and hold up progress for all countries in bringing the COVID-19 pandemic to an end. Between now and the end of the year, we have a limited window of opportunity to scale up the ACT Accelerator and fully enable the equitable allocation framework.
The economic impact of the virus continues to wreak havoc on economies around the world, with governments desperate to get back to normalcy.
And moving on to West Africa, Mali's military junta launched a three-day national consultation on Thursday with political parties, unions and NGOs amidst pressure over its plans for returning the country to civilian rule. The talks marked the second round of discussions between the junta and civilian representatives, many of whom had campaigned fiercely for ousted President Ibrahim Keita to resign. An estimated 500 people are attending the forum, taking place at a conference center in the capital, Bamako. At the opening of the talks, the head of the military junta, Colonel Assimi Goita, emphasized the importance of delivering an outline for restoring a civilian government. Mali's neighbors have watched with concern, fearing the country could spiral back into chaos. The junta initially talked of a three-year transition corresponding to the time left in Keita's second five-year mandate. A committee of around 20 lawyers, researchers and academics has drawn up a draft roadmap, quote-unquote, resulting from a first round of talks. Nobel Peace Laureate Denis Mukwege is again under the guard of the United Nations security forces in DR Congo after death threats against him prompted protests and international calls for his protection. Mukwege, a gynecologist who shared the 2018 Nobel Prize for his work against sexual violence in war, said in July he had been threatened after he condemned a massacre in the country's strife-torn eastern region. Dr. Mukwege has been living in the Panzi Hospital near Bukavu, which cares for women raped in the surrounding province, since he survived an attack at his home in 2012 in which a security guard was killed. UN police officers had left the site in May but were redeployed to a hospital. A spokesman of MONUSCO confirmed that the security detail had previously been stood down due to the COVID-19 cases. Some interesting development here for hip-hop enthusiasts. In the spirit of celebrating the hip-hop music and culture, items of the two of the genre's legendary artists are set to hit the auction. Teenage Tupac's Love Letters and fellow rapper Biggie's iconic crown will hit the auction block next month in Sotheby's first ever sale devoted to hip-hop. The crown was worn by Notorious B.I.G. in his last photoshoot just 3 days before his shocking murder in Los Angeles. The Letters and crown will headline the September 15th sale that features more than 120 items including clothing, jewelry and art of the genre born at the Bronx in New York City. And here is something you don't want to see, but quite interesting all the same. Spacious, clean, and almost completely see-through, an unusual new public toilet block has been built in a Tokyo park. Thankfully, the walls turn opaque as soon as you lock the door. When not in use, the three stylish units are translucent, with purple glass for men and pink for women, as well as an accessible yellow unit also used for baby changing. The walls are kept transparent by an electrical current running through them. Locking the door cuts the current, ensuring user privacy and meaning that there's no danger of all being revealed if there is a sudden power cut. The toilets are part of a project by the Nippon Foundation, a non-profit which commissioned a series of prominent architects to rethink what public facilities might look like. Wow, quite a development there in Japan. On to Motorsport, Anthony Davis had 29 points and 12 rebounds, and the LA Lakers dominated the Houston Rockets 110-100 to take the commanding 3-1 lead in the NBA Western Conference Series on Thursday. The Rockets were no match for the Lakers' intensity and skill as Los Angeles outscored them 62-24 in the paint and 19-2 in fast-breaking points in a quarantine bubble at the Disney Resort in Orlando, Florida. The Lakers didn't need a big offensive night from the LeBron James in their wire-to-wire victory. James finished with the 16 points but grabbed 14 defensive rebounds and had 9 assists for the Lakers, who are trying to reach their first Western Conference Finals since 2009-2010 season when they were led by Kobe Bryant and Paul Gasol. James Harden had an inspiring performance with 21 points and Russell Westbrook. to victory on stage 12 of the Tour de France on Thursday, putting behind him 2 gut-wrenching near misses. There was no change in the overall standings a day ahead of the massive mountain slog, with Primoz Roglic 21 seconds ahead of the defending champion Colombia's Egan Bernal of Ineos. The 22-year-old Hirschi was first pipped at the line by flying Frenchman Julians